Well, and welcome to my shop as I'm just getting a start on this radio you see on my bench here. Let's take a closer look at it. Now, the owner has given it to me already separated from the cabinet, so the chassis is there. Here's the box. The idea of this radio is you open the lid and that turns the switch on, and then the radio will play. Of course, the radio is sitting there. So screws are out. Let's open this up and take a look inside. See, oh, there's all the screws. Excellent. In the bag. Look at that. So we have a little diagram in there and a note. The note is listing the tubes that are in here. 35W4, 50B5, 12BA6, 12ET6, 12BE6. Your basic 5-tube radio. So this was made not too far from here. It says Electrohome on it, which is that a Canadian thing only? Electrohome? I don't know anymore. Oh, look at this. Electrohome music box. Factory model PMU51-418 to 468. So they make quite a few different versions of this. Power supply 25 or 60 cycle, 105, 125 volts. Any person installing or operating this receiving set without first having obtained a license from the Ministry of Transport of Canada is liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $25. I better send a note to the minister right away. There's the model number stamped in there. It's a PMU. Is P music or something like that. 51-418. 37 volt amps, and the serial number is 178,569. Did he really make that many of these? Wow. So nice little box. A few things a little loose on it, of course. Great. No schematic in hand. Oh, wait a minute. I also have a printout. The owner went to Radio Museum on the internet and printed this out. And the schematic is there. And I have a vague memory of having worked on one of these. I think I did one of these years and years and years ago. Probably before I was making videos. So the cloth here is not looking good at all. It almost looks like the radio's been sprayed numerous times with wax, and the wax is built up on the cloth. I don't know if that's really visible in the camera or not, but it does have a strange look. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. So we might be changing this out. Okay, now what about the radio itself? Let me put this cabinet aside. Okay, first observation, it's very, very clean. Of course, it's been inside that music box. The speaker's flopping around. That's a little unusual. Why would it be so loose? Maybe it's come loose trying to get it out of the cabinet or something. I'm not sure. Here's the light. So this is riveted on, so it's it's become floppy. I'm sure it was a little low there. Got one shielded tube. This must be the IF amplifier here. Slug tuning. It's got paint on it. Paint is broken away on this one. And it looks broken away on this one too. So I mean, it's really attractive. When these things stick up like this, it's really attractive to do this. That's probably what's happened to it. Capacitor looks good. No plates have been bent out, either on a factory service basis or by accident. People reaching in. No one's reached in on this. You can't reach in on this because it's really tucked away. This is probably the antenna coil up on top. And look at that. It's a load of old capacitors here. She's loaded. Kind of set it like this. There, I can set it like that. Let's take a little closer look at this guy here. Well, that's a whopper of a big capacitor right there. And it's bypassed with this resistor you can see down here. And the third band is a yellow band, so that's, well, it's 470K. Well, almost certainly this is going to be attached to the chassis somehow. Let's see, is it right here? Yeah, it's right here. And that's probably the only chassis connection. Let's take a look. Let's see. I'm just looking for anything else that's connected to the chassis in here. We'll be looking at this radio for quite a while, so I have lots of opportunity to spot such things. There's something right there. This is the big filter capacitor. It's probably not the original one. It's probably a replacement, but it's also probably a dead dog. I think the owner told me the radio hums. So this is the on-off switch here, which is levered into the lid. Look at how many levers. They got levers on the levers all the way through here. Holy smokes! What a weird arrangement here. That's plenty odd. Okay, why they did it like that? So the condition of the capacitors in here is really quite bad. This one, the end is kind of popped out of it. This one in particular looks really bad. So is there really any reason in operating the radio? I already know that it hums by what I was told. I certainly trust the owner that he knows what he's doing with this. So I think the first thing we'll do, we'll just go in and get rid of this. And we might even want to change this huge capacitor out of here also. Sometimes this is referred to as the safety capacitor. And maybe a study up on the schematic before doing much more than that. So why don't we make this the goal? The goal today is to get this radio operating, limping anyway. I really think all I need to do is change out this guy here. And what is he anyway? He's a 60-30-25. So the 60 and the 30 are filtering the power supply, and the 25 microfarad section is bypass for the output tube cathode resistor. So it's 3 capacitors in here. Easily fixed up. Anything else that really, I think really that's all it's going to amount to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these wires fairly close to the capacitor and probably utilize these wires. So I have the black one here. This one here. Now the reason for using the wires is you know, they come to the area of the radio where this big thing was, which is now gone. These wires are coming now to an empty area where you can put the new capacitors. So it makes a lot of sense to utilize these wires. So this is going to be one of the, probably that was the 30, and this would be the 60. Well, I'm going to put in just 50s, two 50s, and then this green one is almost certainly the bypass. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I got the 3 capacitors in there. I'm gluing them to the chassis so they stay put. Glue is becoming my new friend in here. Now let's get this other big capacitor out. There's a bit of a safety issue with this one. It's a huge one. Looks like this black wire is part of it. Out. Hope I left enough on the end there. We can test it. What is it? 0.2. Oh my gosh. That is big. That's a big one. 0.2, 125 volts. Working volts. Let's check this guy on my capacitor checker if we can. The leads are a little short here. Generally speaking, the bigger the capacitor, the more leakage that's in it. Right from the start. It'll be a tiny amount right at the start of its life. Oh, it's got this resistor. I gotta get rid of that. Resistor. Okay. Okay, so the way this works is I'm simply putting DC voltages of varying amounts across this capacitor. A little bit of current leaking through it will make this eye close. So when I first hit the switch, the eye will snap closed because there's a charging current, but then that should dissipate or reduce, and the eye should come open. Come open right like that. Capacitor is like new. 50 volts on this guy. Look at that. You know, that's suspiciously fast. On such a large capacitor, it takes time for this eye to react. I suspect something more is wrong here. I'll make sure I'm making a contact. Go. This is good for, what was it? 125? Okay, let's give it 150. It's just, yeah, you know what? It's strange. Yeah, strange. Okay, so it's not leaking. Supposedly, we should be able to test its value. 0.2. 0.2. On this scale, somewhere, when I swing this knob, this eye will pop open. Should pop open. There it is there. What's it pointing at here? I'm on the 0.5 scale. So that's this. So this is 0.5, 0.1, 0.2, it's pointing to about 0.3. It's supposed to be 0.2. Well, it's a little hard to believe, frankly, because the eye is reacting so quickly, and I'm having some trouble believing it. So let's bring in another meter. This usually leads to just more and more confusion, but let's give this one a try. From experience, this meter works really well. Oops. Did I shut off the video there? What happened? I'm working on the keyboard. Oh no, not again. My cat. He just can't make up his mind what he wants to do. Okay. There we go. Hello. Out. Yeah. So that says 209 nanofarads. 0.2. 0.2. Well, maybe it is in good shape, and I still don't understand why it charges so quickly. Let's see if I can find something like a 0.2 here. End up being a 0.1 for a quick comparative test. Okay, first of all, is it a 0.1? It's right on the 0.1, dead on the 0.1 setting. Okay, I'm pretty sure these are very good capacitors. Let's give it the 50 volt shot. So this is half the capacity of the last one, so the eye should react twice as fast. But I'm hoping it's going to react actually slower, or else I have egg on my face. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's the reason. That's the reason. So I had this set to electrolytic capacitors. Oh my gosh, that poor cat. He's dying out here is what he's saying. Okay, what is it, kitty? Where do you want to go? Do you want to go out? I let you out. You came right back in. What do you want to do? Okay, I have to go and decipher what my cat wants. He's being very unclear today. It's a cloudy, cool day. Maybe he's upset because he thinks the fall has come. Is that right, Peanut? You worried about the winter? Well, he's telling me where he wants to go. Okay, I'm gonna go. I can't figure out what the cat wants, but he'll be back here in a few minutes, probably asking for it, whatever it is. So let's try this again. Brand new, 50 volts, switch correct. Now watch. That's more like it. So that's what a perfectly good capacitor looks like. A little bit of charging time. Now we're going to find out. I knew something was up. Okay, this guy. 50 volts. Watch the eye. Okay, so now that's proper. Took time to charge up, but it swung all the way open. So ultimately, yeah, this is actually a good condition capacitor. We have a 150. It doesn't open up all the way, but so it's not perfectly good, but this was a serviceable capacitor, and it's in a position where probably the tiny amount of leak in it is immaterial. After all, it's got a resistor right across it, so how much of a leak can be important in there? But I'm going to put in a replacement capacitor and a bypass resistor here. This is 27. This is 270K. That's what they're using there. I will follow suit. We are. We'll just install this. It's really from this terminal to there. Smaller capacitors are going to fit actually a lot better than the original. My poor cat Peanut, he just doesn't know what to do. Maybe if the sun comes out, he'll be happy to go outside. But for now, he just doesn't seem to know what he really wants to do. Okay, concentrate here. Stop babbling. soldered the wrong thing. Soldered what I already soldered. Here we go. Okay. There we are. We're ready to operate this radio. See what it does. Now what about the power cord? Let's just take a look here. Looks fine inside the radio. Not so good out here. Let's get this tape off here and see what's happening. So I've seen a lot of these done like this. So what's happened here is the wires failed, or the insulation's failed. This is as stiff as can be here, and it's just totally exposed wires. Wow, that's a little anxiety causing there. Let's just look underneath again, because I think I'm going to go ahead and replace this before we try firing it up. So one lead comes here. The other one I bet you goes on that other terminal right here. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do. I'm going to probably replace this capacitor in the process. I'm going to snap it out of the way here. Access to the power cord. Just nip it right off. I think one of the reasons that the work was done the way it was done before is because there's a strain relief thing here, which is tricky to deal with quite often. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and pull the wire through it by cutting it flush here. Just try to pull it through here. There it is. The other one should come out easy. Should come out easy. Oh, the insulation just keeps cracking on it here. Let's grab the wires. There we are. And that should make it possible to push the grommet out. Still some wire in there. Still wire in it. I think I got it out. Let's see. Still a piece of wire in it. Yikes! I'm gonna break a tube here. Squeeze it from this side. think there's still something in it. It's almost through, I think. Difficult. Why are you putting up a fuss here? Well, we're going to power it out if I can. Grab a Doing things like this is where bad things happen. You know, when you're applying a lot of power in what you're doing, that's when bad accidents happen, including injuries. It's better to find a less powerful way of doing things. Like this. Okay, it's going to come out. Come on, little guy. How can you be in there still? There he goes. I don't know how you can push a wire through this. Get it. There we go. Wow. You know, this really isn't really made for. Seems like it's not really made for that kind of power cable. Wow. Really crushing it. I'll certainly lock it right in. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Now, this is a replaced power cable. It has a non-polarized plug. Yeah, this idea is not the best. This wire is perfectly good, I'm sure. Let's just take a look and make sure. Yeah, no problem here. Ends. Maybe a little more. Now, can we reuse this guy? I mean, that's gigantic. How did they ever get this together in the first place? Wow. I need a lot more wire out the back, though. Something like that. So I think... Wow. Holy smokes. Well, this cord's not gonna go through there properly. Okay, but we do need to do something to protect this and something to strain relieve the wire. So let me get my stuff here. Let's see what we've got for that. This is my box of goodies here. There we are. Grommet assortment set. So it doesn't have the locking things, but I found that some of these will pinch the wire pretty good anyway. So we would need one that's going to fit in the hole there. Would look like that would do it. And we have a wire in here. So once it's in, I think it'll grip it a fair bit. And obviously, you're not. If you swing the radio by the wire, I think it's going to pull it. As long as you don't, as long as you swing the wire by the radio, that's fine. Okay, we'll try that. Let's see that. Through. Stick the grommet in when we're ready. This guy simply goes here like that. They've done this nicely. They have the terminal right here. Right by the hole. Often these wires snake through the radio to get to the back of the on-off switch or something of that sort. Of course, the on-off switch is this guy, isn't it? A little different in this radio. Yeah, you can see this terminal ties to a wire that goes right over to the on-off switch. Who's there at my door? Oh, I have another visitor here. My visitor's wearing a bell. If you hear some dinging. Now, who's visiting me here? Ah, that Shadow. You've come in too, eh? She's got a little perch up here. She's just jumping up onto a perch she can see out a window in the back of our house. She likes to sit in the window and look out the backyard. Good for her. I'm afraid I have to reconnect this or replace it, really. So that's actually where it come from. It came from here. It came from here. Wait a minute now. This seemed to be, yeah. This seemed to be like that is how it was from here. Okay, trying not to make a mistake. There we go. Okay, this guy is a .025 capacitor, 0.025. Dig up a 0.025 here. And 0.025. Man, he's got a 0.25. That's a little too much. .025. So I got 022. So this is a 0.02. It's actually a little less than 0.02, so we're not going to go that way. These are exactly 0.02. 0.025. Well, .022 would be okay. Some of these guys here. So this is the 0.022. This is a 0.022 as opposed to a 0.025. It's a completely different style of capacitor. Let's throw it in. Oh, I just put it to the wrong spot, didn't I? It doesn't quite reach. Oh, a quandary. So I put in a 0.02, forget the 5. Or I'd have to put a 0.005 across here. 0.005. Crazy, it's actually a bigger, physically bigger capacitor. 0.005. Let's do it. Crazy as it looks to me. Smaller capacitor is physically bigger. Probably not really all that critical, but they must have picked the size they picked for some kind of reason. A little extra 0.05, 0.005 rather. Okay, just a wee bit clumsy here. Not too hot. This guy's going right here. Piece of hose. Okay, let's lay that right in there. So the whole thing might come apart now. Let's see. That's good, that's good. Very good. Okay, now the other side. Oh boy, we're close to turning this guy on. Okay, new cord. Capacitor restored. New here. And then these guys. I glued them down, but you know what? They've come off the glue. Come on. This glue takes a while to set. Okay, it's good for now though. Okay, my little radio. Now it does not have a built-in antenna. Instead it has this wire, which is a bad sign to begin with. Tubes in, tubes in. Tubes in, speaker still flopping around. Why don't we just tighten that down? Just so we don't have to watch it flop around. The switch. Now, how does this work? Is it on right now? I would imagine it's on. I would imagine the closing the lid pushes this down. Yeah, so I think it's on by default. Okay, now I'm not going to plug this right into a straight coming out of the wall outlet. I have a way to restrict the power. Coming to a radio like this. Excuse me. Oop. So this is video number 1, so some of you may have never watched any of my videos before, but by now you must realize I don't do a lot of editing, and I'll kind of show everything, including mistakes, and I say things that aren't right. All kinds of stuff's happening, because it's essentially a live video. It's essentially what I'm doing. Okay, so this box is not plugged in the wall. It's plugged into this white extension cord. This extension cord goes, it's a 2-wire cord. There's no third prong on this thing. It goes to an isolation transformer under my bench. The third prong from this guy is just sitting here in air. Even though he's got a third prong here, there's nothing going on with it. This is isolated from the power system ground, neutral. Another capacitor there to test. Let's test the radio. Let's test the radio. Just make sure everything is out of the way. Stand back, everybody. So now with these, my restriction is based on light bulbs. So a little radio draws a little bit of power. I need a fair bit of restriction here to have any beneficial effect. So what I've got in here, let's just check it. That's a 100-watt bulb. Oh my gosh. Really? That's a 60. And I think I have one even smaller here. Let's just check and see. Another 60. But this one's a small one. 25. So I'm going to put in the decorative 25-watt bulb. Actually, I said the isolation transformer's under my bench. It's actually right here. I've got it up on my bench here. Learn the controls. So the on-off switch is here. This must be volume. This must be tone. There's no words on here at all. So we're guessing this is tone, and this of course is tuning, and the tuning is really tough. Man, I have something here to work on. Oh boy, it's not even gonna go. It's just, wow, it's just tightening right up. I think it's tightening up right here. So I am going to try to fix that. Still have no power on it. It's tricky to feel where the tension really is. I think it's right in here. I don't feel the string at all. So we're going to put a little bit of WD-40 on there. You can use all kinds of stuff to do this. don't want to get it on the string, I just want to get it right in here. Do this like this. There's no power in that power wire yet. There it goes. Right, that was it. That's all it took. Swoosh. All the way. Good. Okay, that's much better. Are we ready now to turn them on? I think so. Got some more garbage to get out of the way here, so I don't have an accident. Okay, switch is on. So when you're going to hear 2 clicks regularly. If you're new to my videos, you hear 2 clicks as I adjust the power. First click arms my power system. Armed, but there's no power here yet. And this switch selects either the power is going to go through the light bulb to get to the radio, or it's going to go straight to the radio. Down is through the light bulb, and when I flip this, we should see some action here. Who knows what? Oh, if there's a big short circuit in here, which I doubt there is, but if there was, then the light will come on full, and I'll realize, oh, that's what's happened. And you can't miss the light coming on full. Probably the light will come on a little bit, and then dim down, and then come up a little bit, and then sit there. And at that point, the radio should make noise. But what really happens, we're going to see. Here we go. That's an awfully bright light there, but I can see this light's on. It's a 25 watt, so it's quite low. Power-wise, 50 volts. So we've hardly got any voltage coming over here. So I really need a bigger light bulb in there. Which one was the 60? This one here. So this tells me already that there's no short circuits and stupid stuff going on, or this light would not light, that's for sure, and this thing would not go down. See how it's gone down? Now we're at 74 volts. You know what, that might be just enough. On the other hand, very, very quiet. Oh! 72 volts. Just took a while. I'm looking for stations right around here. With that wire antenna, this is unfortunately this is a poor quality radio. Better quality radio would have a loop antenna, not a wire. The loop antenna is tuned in itself. It's the first stage of tuning. This wire, which is bare all over the place. This wire is kind of crappy. I'm just going to hang it up here in the sky. I have a sky hook up here. Now, is there any chance? I don't give it any chance. But we're going to help it out here. Not. Okay, we'll help it out by introducing an outdoor antenna. Somewhere here in my shop is the outdoor antenna unit. There it is. Now this may not be switched on to the outdoor antenna. We will know the moment well, we actually won't know. Attached or not, it's more antenna. So the hummy sound, I'm sure, is just interference. The buzzing hummy sound. So it's really, a radio like this is going to be lucky if it picks up 1 or 2 stations here in my shop on a piece of junky wire. And it's picking up 1 station. So that's a suggestion that the radio is actually in pretty good shape, even as it stands now. So what we have left to do with this guy, first of all, I'll turn it off. I mean, the good news is it's all here. We now know the coils aren't burned open. We know the IF is not twiddled to death. We know that there's nothing seriously wrong with this radio. All the tubes are working well enough to make the radio work. So that's great. I always like it when I get to this stage, because from here it's really just a question of improvements in its operation. And you can see it's working to some degree. We don't know if that's really working well or not. With these old capacitors in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 old capacitors. So I got to take those out, put in new ones, and then we'll see what the radio sounds like. Okay, so it turns out this capacitor has a resistor paralleled across it. Back there. Might just be a handy way of getting the resistor into the circuit. What they actually did was they cut the capacitor lead short. They wrapped the resistor lead around it once, twice, and then carried the lead down to the terminal. Just their method of doing it here. 0.05 with a 27. What is that color? With a what? A 27 something. This meter here. And I'm always surprised by how well these radios can work with these tired old capacitors. And look at this thing, it's just completely lost its seal there. It just means some moisture's having an easier time getting into these. So 258 ohms. So that's 270 ohms. So that would be a brown, and that's what it looks like. Okay, surprising. I thought it'd be a lot bigger. 270 ohm resistor and a 0.05 capacitor. So I'm going to try something interesting with this. I find it interesting anyway. The question is this capacitor behaving like a battery? So I have a meter on 2 volts. Now, if this is working as a battery, it'll have a little bit of charge in it that it's developed on its own, and that charge will disappear the moment I hook it up to the meter. But you should see a jump here. So maybe isn't the best meter to do it. Just watch and see what it says. Maybe it'll say 0. See, I went up to like 20. Oh, it's jumping around here. Yeah, connection making and breaking. 0.005. Disconnect. Reconnect. And the voltage building up again in it. So what I reason is going on is there's a little bit of galvanic action somewhere in here, inside the capacitor from moisture that's gotten in, the lead against the foil, because the lead is different material from the foil. Of course, because it has a small resistor across it, it can't have any bearing whatsoever. There's no oomph to this. Now look at that. This thing had half a volt on it. I believe it's the same effect. This will probably go down to a point and then sit there. That means it can power my meter at the reading it'll settle in at. Looks like it's going to go way down though. Yeah, it's on its way down. Now if I disconnect and reconnect, the voltage a chance to rebuild. There you are. So that's another way to test these capacitors, because if a capacitor is good, there won't be any voltage here. And we'll demonstrate that. Almost nothing. And then just no oomph behind it, just bled it away. So it didn't mean anything. Let's take a brand new one, recently manufactured capacitor. Oh boy, now if this shows a voltage, I'll cut this part of the video out. So it did, but it went away right away. Now, where did that voltage come from? It's gone right to 0. I don't think that was caused by an internal battery type operation. No, there's no moisture in here. The charge got on there from something else. It's kind of an interesting question. Where would these guys get charges from? I'll try to pick it up here out of the container without touching the leads at all. Interesting, eh? But I'm sure if I take this off, it's not going to recreate itself. I don't know, gamma rays? Gamma rays? Well, there's power in there. Tiny, tiny power. Okay, that was a little aside. So I gotta get a 270 and a 0.05. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, that's those two done. Now this big one here, 0.1. This, you know, this looks like this is soldered right here. Could these have been changed in the past? To the black terminal here. Okay, I think we're ready for a test. Got the grommet in, wire fixed, capacitors all changed, at least the ones that are normally unreliable. There's more capacitors in there, but they're highly reliable ones. Okay. Down, plug is in. Okay, let's watch those. Oh, I gotta put in a bigger light at this time, I think. 100, here's the 60. I'm using a 60-watt bulb now to restrict the power coming to the radio. Probably won't be much of a restriction. There's all the dead soldiers here. There we go. Oh, I should see that light. Goes down, now it should start coming up again. This should start getting brighter again. This one too. But it may just not be enough. Full volume. This is the point where we find out if I messed up the radio. Okay, what do we get? Okay, so I have the helper antenna not connected. Let's help them out. 2 stations. A little dirt in there. So what we're going to do, you may have noticed this other radio chassis in the background. That's a bit of an experimenting chassis. So what I've got here is I've got an antenna out of another radio. So this is actually 2 loops, 2 separate loops here. There's a big one I'm showing you. And then there's just 1 or 2 turns just going around the inside, or maybe around the outside. But I think they go around the inside. Maybe around the outside. So the big coil here is connected to the capacitor. So I can resonate the big coil. And then this goes to the radio for the radio to pick up. Now this really isn't the right kind of arrangement. Let's see if we can get something out of this. Sort of it bumped the performance of this radio up. So I'm just going to leave this hanging in the air here. This will be 1 wire. And the other one's got to go to the chassis. Strange sounds coming out of the radio onto the chassis. Okay, it goes quiet because essentially I've connected. Goes quiet. That's interesting. Now that's a funny sound. What? That's like a loose tube sound. There he is. That tube. Okay, now things got real quiet. Worked better after that. So now I'm going to resonate this coil in the same frequency range that we've got dialed up here. Let's see what happens. Oh, there's a station. Tune it in. Tune this. Okay, enough fooling around. So, slight improvement. When I use this, so you know, this is also sitting in my shop. It's not connected to an external antenna or anything like that. So, you know, how well can that even pick stuff up? But I think you can get an impression that it was just a little bit better having a tuned antenna connected to the radio. But that's not what this radio is about. Just on the wire, I don't think we're going to get anything. Okay, so that's great. I'll turn it off this way. So radio's working now. It's all ready for an alignment. That's what I'll do tomorrow. I'll do an alignment on it, and there's not a lot to do with the alignment on this little radio. And then it's back in its cabinet, and there we are. Great. Thanks a lot for watching today, and I'll see you on the next video.